Okay, it is 4:08 a.m. Sorry, p.m. My mistake. It is September 20th. Okay, it's late in Saturday afternoon, and I took care of what I needed to do. Now, I had talked about me using the human targets as a way of introduction for this upcoming week, and which I did. Okay, originally I was going to go to the library, but the library was closed for whatever reason, and I never doubt whether people are conspiring against me or what. I just got the intuitive messages that I was supposed to go to Southwest Library instead of Beale, and I don't really know why. Okay, but I would just say that I went to Beale because it was convenient. Okay, and I prefer not to work on work related things in my house, and the reason why is because I feel, how some things just have a negative connotation to it. Like, I feel as though the unprofessionalism of the people I had to deal with has caused mental upset when it comes to having to look for work because of their mental issues, their psychological drama, and their abuse of, especially when it comes to stealing from me and then having the mayor know about it. This right here, I'm going to tell you right now, it makes me feel disgusted. Okay, so because I find it necessary for me to separate, if something causes you trauma, you try to find ways to minimize the impact. So I would prefer not to work on work related things in my home. Why? Because I like my home to be free of all of that energy. I do not like my work energy mixing with my home life. And this is one of the reasons why when I found out that I was gang stalked and that my family was involved in it, I became irate. Why? Because I understand that my family and the kids I used to know, including all these people, would do things to me that were, extremely frustrating to me when I was in high school or whenever we were all together. Okay. So as I got older, I made a conscious decision to, of course, distance myself from these individuals, to find out that they were manipulating my work. And then, some of the people that I remember having, very strong negative opinions about, for example, Bruce Collins' mom. Okay, no go. I made a conscious, when I realized that I was going to give birth to my son, I made a conscious decision to not have her involved in any part of my son's life. Okay, now, I did come to understand that people got involved, and then, of course, my son ended up getting to know them, okay? But I stood out of it, okay? I could understand her having something to do with my son's life, but she overstepped her boundaries. You do not touch my things. You do not have anything to do with my life. I made a conscious decision to not marry your son, okay? So, this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about gang stalking, and you have people who want to feel a sense of entitlement. So the root of this is that I'm adopted. Okay, even though I'm adopted, okay, I have a birth certificate, I have my social security card, I have everything. I have every right to make my decisions on my own. I have my sister Lisa, who was orchestrating all this. Now she knew, my family knew. I used to tell my family, like, I didn't want Bruce's family being overly involved in my child's life, okay? But because these people were raised or encouraged to always undermine me because of the brainwashing of this particular church organization, my mother thought it was okay for Bruce's mother to have something to do with my life. Okay, which I am going to tell you right now, this is not acceptable to me. Okay, I the reason, and I don't think I need to tell you why. Okay, so what I find unhappy or dissatisfying is that people have visions, they have dreams, they have beliefs, they have strong passions when it comes to their work, their career, projects, whatever, such as me, right? And then I have these Klingons, these asswipes that I do not want in my life, such as Terry Collins and all these other people. And then they want to sit here and be like scrutinizing my shit when I would never have you a part of my life in the first place. The reason why is because I have a certain view of how things are, and it's supposed to be raw, like the way that it is. Okay. Aside from that, I'm angry that my work was just completely discarded and distributed among people that did not really fully appreciate it or understand the concept of it. and they had no right to. And so the justification that they had in their mind was, oh, well, Maria's adopted and she was a burden baby and all this other stuff. Exactly. So why is it in the Bible talks about taking care of orphans and those who have been abandoned, that you decide to take this opportunity to squash someone out even further? I will tell you why. Because you are evil. That's why. Okay. And so I cannot seem to look at it any other way. And I understand, okay? And like I said, when it comes to the Bible, I have always taken things, how can I say this? To me, I live a spiritual life, okay? I don't have to worry or deal with certain complex issues, and I resent other people bringing those complex issues that I've already witnessed in my life and trying to put these sort of things on me, such as Terry Collins and other people trying to find, marriage mates for me, trying to get me in situations I do not want, right? I'm angry at these people. And I also understand that the Bakersfield employers have been exploiting me, making it seem as though I am a celebrity. I am not a celebrity. What the Bakersfield employers have done has exploited a black woman because of her hair. This is what they've done, okay, which is extremely racist, and they should be ashamed of themselves, okay? This is the only thing that they've done, okay? So they've exploited my image among other places without paying me, without acknowledging me, without giving me any sort of credit or anything like that, and basically manipulating my life so that they can exploit me at no charge to me. Okay, so no, I'm basically setting the record straight. You will not continue to do this to me. Okay, I am not somebody who deserves to be put in situations of exploitation. Okay, it is a very simple issue, and I can't even understand how anybody could not understand something that simple and this moronic. Now, I have been thinking about my mother's involvement. I'm referring to Mary Gordon. Okay, Mary Gordon was involved in my targeting. Now, Mary Gordon has always been two-faced. Okay, she's kind of like Templeton, that little rat in um, Charlotte's Web. She's not a very upright person, okay? She tries to be, but the fact is that she married my father for financial resources, okay? She knows how to be a good wife, but she doesn't know how to be a loyal wife. Why? Because she has some sort of commitment to this sort of agreement to sit here and, spy on my father as well as spy on me. We have this dual affiliation issue. Why does this happen? Because of the church's affiliation. And I have been getting intuitive messages that the Muma family, which I have mentioned before in my newsletter, played an integral part in my trauma. Okay, they played an integral part in my trauma. Okay, they did bring out the issue about my hair. My mother jumped on the issue about my hair. Now, the reason why Mary jumped on the issue about my hair was not necessarily, okay, my hair is for 100% grooming purposes. Okay, now I know that there had been rumors about me and everything that according to these people, okay, these dramatic people who want to punish you without actually giving you any means of standing up for yourself. They just like to sit here and inflict pain. Okay, this is the reason why no one ever confronted me. Okay, but they wanted to persecute me for my belief systems, obviously, and they wanted to highlight the fact that I wore a wig. Okay, now I wear wigs because obviously I'm an African American person. I have had problems with my hair for a very long time. Some people, I don't know how or why some people do not care about their grooming, but I do. Okay. So throughout the years, I had worked through or tried to experiment with different hairstyles. I do remember trying wearing braids, which a lot of black women wear. I remember having issues with that. Some people thought that was a little too African American. They thought it was a political statement, blah, 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 blah. All I really wanted to do was I knew that I was losing hair in the back. I knew that I was dealing with a lot of broken ends. I knew that after years of relaxing my hair, things were catching up to me. So I needed to just basically find hair that's going to cover up the job, make it look like it's my hair so I can go out and deal with whatever. That's what a lot of people do. It's a way of replacing change. It wasn't because I just decided to do this because I didn't like my hair specifically. I felt as though I was not confident or comfortable with my hair because of the damages that were created from it. And this is why I became used to it, because throughout all the years, I would say wigs and these sort of options are so much easier for me than, trying to straighten my hair, trying to style it, make it look presentable. you have to feel comfortable with how you present yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, if you feel self-conscious, then most people do something about it. And that's what I chose to do. That is a discrete issue. So I feel as though the Bakersfield employers were exploiting me as a black woman, bringing out this issue about my black hair and trying to make an issue out of it. Therefore, I do not ever take this issue lightly. I find it extremely offensive when people even mention anything about my hair. I immediately hate you, period. You know why? Because to me, you know that this is rooted in a racial issue. That is the only issue that it is rooted in. There is no other reason to bring up a woman's hair, period. Period. Okay, so to sit here and act like it's not, it's just absolutely stupid. So I take offense to it. Now, the reason why my mom jumped on it is because I know a lot of religious people were filling her heads about this particular issue. This is what I'm receiving intuitively, that me and my father were husband and wife at one time. Now, I know that my mother struggled with a lot of self-esteem issues throughout her marriage, okay? Obviously, because she, had a lot of romantic ideas. My father was something of a disappointment to her. Realistically, I can understand, and as much as I love my father, I can understand how he was a disappointment to her. Why? Because he can't give her what she really wants, okay, and vice versa. And when you think about the outside influence towards within this relationship, trying to force this thing together, trying to make it work, right? It can only go so far, okay? So he did the best he could, she did the best she could, or whatever. But do I think that my mother had some sort of feminine type jealousy towards me as her daughter, because she felt maybe, just maybe, that my father was attracted to me, and this is a reason why she would behave this way? There's a lot of reasons why. Because number one, I was a child that she adopted. She wasn't really gung-ho about it. She was a housewife. She had no other choice, so she had to take on another burden and overburden herself, even when she wasn't physically, mentally, or any other way prepared for that sort of responsibility, okay? And for that reason, I have seriously considered that, and I've taken that into consideration, and this is one of the reasons why I grant her some leniency in some way. Okay, but at the same time, do I think her hatred towards me was self-serving because of her inadequacies that she felt as a woman? You better believe I do. I totally believe that. Now, me and my father, when I was growing up, we have never had a sexual relationship at all. But do I believe that this was something that was floating around? Yes. Okay, there was a lot of dirt and anything that people could think of so they could sit here and find justification so that they could feel comfortable. Because deep down inside, they knew deep down inside that they had no real reason to have this sort of hatred towards me. But because they needed to carry through their stupid little organization or plan of ostracizing, they would sit there and convince themselves that I deserve it. I have never deserved any of it at all. Okay, so then my mom had this sort of issue with me. She felt like she didn't want to look at me anymore, deal with me. And the real fact is because my mother felt like a failure as a woman. That's not my fault. It's not my fault. But at the same time, it really wasn't up to these stupid religious people to sit here and exploit that. Okay, they exploit people's vulnerabilities. This is one of the reasons why, they set you up in these families, these fake families, knowing that you're the target. You're the bloodline that they have something against. So they want to put you in sick family dynamics. Just like we had Tanya sitting here spying and working for Diana Ross and acting like she's my sister. All these years she would call me up every once in a while, sitting here trying to talk to me and strike up conversations. I always thought that Tanya was boring, but I also knew or believed at the time that she was my sister. I didn't want to be rude, okay? So there was a lot of times, like, back in the day where people had, like, answering phones or answering machines. I would sit here and let her talk. I would stand, be holding my breath, like, just be quiet, Maria. Just, let her leave a message and whatever. It was because I knew that I didn't want her to hurt Tanya, but I knew that Tanya was boring. And when Tanya did call me, she usually wanted to call me for something. Okay? It's like I now understand that these people have been nothing more than mind-controlled spies. That has all they've ever been. Okay? So that's a lot to digest, okay? Because like I said, I had strong emotional involvement in these people. These are people that I prayed for. These are people that I cared for. Okay? And I'm sorry, but they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. Okay, and I've been getting these like intuitive messages about my mom's spirit. My mother feels very bad about everything, okay, because she knows good and well what I'm saying is true. She hated herself, okay, and somehow or another she needed to dump that on me. I'm not responsible for my mother's problems. Okay, when it comes to the Bakersfield employers who have been managing my YouTube channel, I will tell you I do not approve of what you've done. And the message I'm getting is something about spirit communication, something about me communicating with spirits, and something about my hair. Something about my hair. My hair is, yeah, I change my hair as an option, just like, so like for example, a girl who has long hair, which I don't. Okay, and the length of the hair that I have right now is the length of my actual hair. Okay, the problem with it is I have just really crappy hair. So I change it. Like for example, if it's a hot day, then I'm going to wear it in a bun, or I'm going to wear it in a ponytail. No shit. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying, I don't, it doesn't need to be standing up on end. It doesn't need to be all rough or anything else. So the message I'm getting for the Bakersfield employers is that they were initiating this issue, putting pressure, bullying me about my hair. You had no right to do that. Okay. You understand that my spirituality is correct. I also get the intuitive message that you feel as though I, I somehow have been siding with lesbians or the gay community. I have never mentioned anything like this. Okay, I know people want to sit here and try to put me or associate me with certain groups or whatever, because what they want to do is they want to justify their argument. The fact is that I have literally came to this community minding my own business, and you created a drama. It's all your fucking fault, all of it. All of it. Okay, the intuitive messages I'm getting is something about benevolent spirits have been hanging around my vicinity, and it could very well be because I'm generating more positive energy. Okay, also I am a very pure person. I tend to be more holy, but this particular Bakersfield employer group that has been manning my channel, they feel that I'm an interesting person, and something about I tend to be, I'm not trying to even start a movement, not really. Okay, I am trying to inform people that human trafficking does exist. Okay, I do not agree with you manning my channel. I don't appreciate you manning my channel, and I don't understand something about my garden. My garden. Okay, yes, I did create a garden so that I could have a place to stay. I mean, like a place to work. Okay, like I said, I cannot rely on places like the library. I can't rely on, whatever. Some places might be closed, they might be whatever. So I choose to have a little space to myself. Okay. Now the benevolent spirits that are hovering around my place, these are people who are now, at one time, were against me, and now they are singing my praises, asking me for forgiveness. I kid you not. This is one of the reasons why I have such an influx of spirits. Okay. Now, when it comes to yes, and it is true. Okay. You had so many people turned against me for no reason. Okay. Because you wanted to exploit me. Okay. The reason why you're manning my channel is because you wanted to exploit me. I do not feel comfortable with who you are. Something about me, and my association, my indirect association with musicians. It is an indirect association. My mother, Diana Ross, gave birth to me many, many, many years ago. Okay, and I don't really have any other association with celebrities other than things on social media. I am not a celebrity. Okay, but what you have done is you had no right to exploit me. Okay, and I take offense to it. I am not somebody who, I am not okay with it at all. I do not approve of it. So whenever time that you're sitting here blasting my face out, I want you to understand what you are. Okay, I do not approve of what you've done. Now, there's other intuitive messages I'm getting is that there's a lot of people, I guess, because anytime you have these issues, okay, you get a lot of immature people, such as the Bakersfield employers who are manning my channel, and then you also have these onlookers, okay, who are watching this situation. And apparently, there's a lot of women who agree with me. And like I said, I didn't want to make this issue. See, growing up, I always believed, and it's not so much believed, I was trained by outside sources other than myself, that you're supposed to dress nice, you're supposed to, groom, you're supposed to whatever, okay? And this is all I've done, okay? So, of course, this is one of my enjoyments in life, and this is what I do, okay? And then I do know that when I had this issue with my hair, some people wanted to challenge it, like I was wearing my hair to attract male attention, when at the time I was married to somebody, so that was not my intention, obviously. Okay, it is specifically for grooming purposes, for nothing else. Okay, I don't, and I feel as though it was disrespectful of you to sit here and highlight something. But see, that is your own hatred. Okay. And so this is the reason why I find it very offensive when white people sit here and talk about my hair and then act like they have any sort of possibility of ever being my friend. You will never be my friend. Okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, you're sitting here shouting out the N word every time you goddamn do that. Okay? And I think I've made that very clear before. You will never be my fucking friend. Okay? I take offense to it. I also take offense to the fact that you sat here and communicated with my son behind my back and then forced him to be loyal and not talk about it. Okay? Creating more psychological problems. Okay? And then also, what are you trying to sit here, elevate my son above me because he has white skin? So this is the kind of sick shit, creepy nonsense I did not ask for. Okay? You're sick and you're twisted. Okay, I am not into white supremacy, but obviously the people who have manned my channel are. Okay. What other information? Yes, my wigs and my buns and my hair is just what it is. It's not, and I think a lot of people were trying to say that, well, maybe she was doing it for magical purposes. I will say that yes. Do I believe that hair has something to do with magic? It can. We have biblical figures such as Samson, who was associated with hair power, right? And then we also have Maria Orsic, the lady who I was talking about in one of my videos about the Vril, right? She had her hair, and I do recall growing up, changing, like, for example, the part of my hair. Like sometimes I would put my bang on one side and then part it to the other. I noticed that there was a shift of energy. Yes, hair can change energy, but okay, when it comes to my hairstyle and how I wear it, it is simply for one reason. It is there for cosmetic purposes to hide my flaws, period. I do not get into hair power, although you can use hair power. Okay, in this case, where Maria Orsic, that lady who was associated with all that Vril stuff, her and the women that were with her would wear their hair and like grow it all the way down to the floor. Okay, and they obviously felt as though that it provided some sort of antenna. Do I believe, like I said, there is some sort of link, okay, when it comes to hair and spiritual power? That is completely the truth. Okay, this is one of the reasons why that story in the Bible with Samson talking about his hair and how it was linked into it. Yes, hair does have power, but when it comes to my fake hair, I don't. It simply just covers my head, the circumference of my head. And also, if it's hot outside, then I'm probably going to wear a bun or a ponytail. If it's a little bit more windy or whatever, nice breezy, whatever, I'm more likely going to wear it down where the collar, a bone of my neck, like normal people would. Okay, this is what people usually do. Like, for example, if I was working in picking up some trash, okay, somebody wanted me to pick up trash, you don't want your bangs in your face, you're going to put your hair up, right? Same type thing. Okay, so it's a way of grooming, period. Should have never been a big deal. Nothing like that. Now, I think some people thought, well, like I said, my mom must have thought that maybe I was doing it for male attention, or she was trying to create a sexual harassment issue like a lot of insecure women do, okay? I resent the whole intrusion. Every person has their reason for bringing it up. My mother did it because of her low self-esteem. When white people bring it up, you're just being racist, plain and simple. Okay, and then also the childish chiding about you're doing it to get male attention. No, okay. I do believe that people should be presentable enough for themselves to look themselves in the mirror and be like, you know what, I look okay today. I can go outside. That's the way it is, okay? So it's about grooming, period, okay? It had nothing to do, and like I said, I was, wearing wigs and stuff like that, or experimenting with my hair when I was married to Joel, when I separated from Joel. Why? Because I was always looking for the ideal look. I know throughout the years, I would try to work with a certain hair pattern and it wouldn't work. It was a lot of trial and error until I had to find something that I felt comfortable with, okay? And until I find something else, this is what I'm doing, okay? I mean, like, I'm probably always going to wear wigs. You know why? Because I don't really like taking care of my hair. It's a lot of work. I notice how long it takes just to sit here and straighten my hair to make it smooth enough to do this, to do this. There's a lot of my hair. I don't like messing with it. Okay, so that was no reason for them to sit here and create problems. So I was dealing with a harassment issue by these particular people. So the people who were running my channel, something about them being associated with, my family and all these other people. Okay, you guys do not mean anything to me. I'm just going to let you know that. Okay, I resent the fact that you sit here and block me. I resent the fact that I'm stuck having to associate or socialize with limited people because of everything that you did. Number one, the issue of the church poisoning my name, okay, and then being a part of this network where I feel as though I could never respect anybody who belongs in it. The reason why is because how dare you sit here and create these problems, especially when you knew that my mother, the whole fake family arrangement, and then you want to sit here and still make light of this issue about this black woman and her hair. To me, you are nothing more than a demonic piece of shit, and you always will be. Period. I don't care what kind of title you have. Fuck you a million times over. Okay. The other message that I'm getting is that I don't know, something about going out in nightlife and going out and doing stuff. I don't really go out much, okay, but I do plan on going out. Hopefully, there's some comic clubs or something like that in the future. But right now, it's like and I'm fine with doing things on my own. Okay, you have made it so you have created a toxic environment. You made it so that I do not want to socialize with people. Okay, you made it so that you have poisoned the water to where I will never have any respect for anyone. Okay, the intuitive message that I'm getting is that I'm attracting a vibe of women who consider themselves to be what do you call it, women of substance, people who care about nice things, okay, like taking care of themselves, keeping their house nice, decorating, art, and stuff like that. Yeah, I do. I think it keeps up the morale. It keeps up your spirit. Just like if you buy a house, most people, the first thing they want to do is they want to fix it up. They want to sweep up the porch. They want to maybe put out some plants. They might want to cut the lawn. Some people want to put some more coats of paint on the house. And it's the same thing. If you don't have these additional things in life, life becomes drudgery. I feel as though because of the attitude of people like who've manned my channel and the employers that I've worked for, as well as the community's involvement, and right down deep down the whole center, okay, the whole church, that whole mentality is so toxic, so weak, and so disgusting that I've lost respect for it. It is what it is. I would like you to see or try to put yourself into my shoes, okay? Someone who's never done anything to anybody, okay? Coming into a community, being on the best behavior they possibly can, and then suddenly, their entire world falls apart all because of a church doctrine, or not even a church doctrine. It was based on, an experiment that was obviously Nazi driven, okay? And then we have these church people who believe it, and then everybody has become mind controlled, okay, including my black family, and my white family, and then all these weird, this whole thing that doesn't make any sense. I've lost respect for people. I've lost respect for people. So it's like it's wrong for you to think, oh well, I can show her my friendship or we can be friends. I will tell you, we can be polite. We can be polite. Okay, that means like hello, good morning, how are you, that kind of stuff. Are you going to hang out in my house and be my best buddy? That is very unlikely. That is very unlikely. And the reason why is because you have treated a person below the standard of what a person should be straight. And then you stole from me. Okay, this is something I will not ever forgive. Something about my garden. Yes, I did create an autumn garden, and the reason why is because I want to be around flowers. I want to be around beautification, and I don't have that. I don't live in a house. Okay, so I live in an apartment. So when I live in an apartment, I try to make the best use of that space as I possibly can. Unfortunately, while the summertime started coming in, I was, inundated with, the dog that was staying here. And so I was not able to have, my flowers and stuff like that. So now I went to places like Home Depot, kind of peered into the little inside. I didn't actually walk in, but I don't really see a lot of flowers and stuff like that. And plus, if I was to pay for actual flowers, it would be even more expensive. So I went and got a couple of seed packets. I did plant some, okay, as I noticed they're already sprouting up. And then I also got some fake flowers, okay, that I've just put in, around the ground or whatever, just to try to give it some color. And I did that because I want it as bright and cheerful in color as I possibly could have it. I tried to take care of myself because I will tell you the interaction that I have to deal with in the outside world because of irresponsible employers like the people who manned my YouTube channel, and like people who were part of the church conspiracy and all those other people. I do not find any joy, any pleasure being around most people. Okay, so I have to create my environment. So I decided to create my own environment in my patio, which I've always done. Okay, so like I said, right now I'm content with the little ornaments that I have out there. I don't need a bunch. Okay, I really don't. Plus, I had stuff that I had already had from the last time I set it up. I just need a couple of little plants. And I did get a couple of little knickknacks. I got that cute little mushroom guy that he was like $1 at the Dollar General. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I believe in keeping a space for myself. Okay, I am somebody who is autonomous, and unfortunately, because of what the church has created, okay, has created a lot of problems for me on a social level. Okay, I do not feel comfortable around people. Okay, I will never trust another person again. Why? Because of what the church did. And yes, do I look at the church as evil? Absolutely. I can never respect the church ever again. Okay. The other messages I wanted to convey is that I did send off my blast, meaning like I did send off a copy to certain people of the Human Targets video. And I'm going to be using that for quite a while until I feel I'm going to be separating some of my other videos. Okay, like I talked about me not doing the moral reset because of the intrusion of these horrible people. Okay, I'm very unhappy with these people. I am not happy with, the what do you call it? The entourage that I was forced to deal with. This includes Bruce Collins' mom, and people that I would never want, ever. Okay, and so I understand certain people working behind the scenes and they're trying to make it up for me. Please understand what you're doing is compensation. Okay, and really it should have been done a long time ago. Okay, do not ever expect me to shine or smile down on you or think that I'm ever going to have warm feelings for you. What you represent to me is nothing but trauma. That's all. That's all you're ever going to represent to me. The message I'm getting right now is that my garden is an enchanted place, and people realize that it is a holy spot where positive spirits do fly around, and they do. Okay. But it's my space, okay? And this is the I am somebody who has always enjoyed the spiritual. And now that I had dealt with gang stalking, it has made me want to be closer to what is spiritual. The message I'm getting is that people want me to invite them over for company. I need to be by myself, okay? I don't know anybody in this community. All I know is that Karen Go, the mayor of this community, sat here and let this stuff happen. Okay, and no, I am not happy about it. The other intuitive message I'm getting is that my father's apparition is very happy, very content, very happy. I'm hoping that people will check out the Human Targets video. Okay, I'm very excited about it. I think that I like it because I'm getting to share my experiences, and I'm getting to contrast the difference between what must be discussed in the state mandated training versus what I'm talking about. Okay, and I did read over some of this is like a rough draft line guideline of what actually gets discussed in the state mandated training. Okay. And so, I wanted to send that off as an introduction, not as part of an introduction. Now, the intuitive message I'm getting is that people want me to apply for jobs through Indeed.com. I'm doing a combination of both, okay? But the thing is, I really don't, how can I say this? My view about work has changed. Okay, it has. I have a very negative view about it. I no longer feel happy about it. I no longer feel like it's a good place. I no longer feel like it's a positive place. I no longer feel anything good about it at all. Okay, so it's not easy for me to sit here and like have to go look for work or anything like that. Something about my hair, about work. Yeah, there's people who are looking at this issue as a tragedy. To me, it shouldn't have been a tragedy. It should have been understood from the very beginning. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, I look at this as willful ignorance. Okay, when all of this happened, I talked about the workplace laws. I talked about how this covered your race. I talked about how it covered your ethnicity, your skin color, things that related to that. Okay. I don't know how plain I could have got it. Okay. I don't know how plain I could have got it. Okay. So if this is a tragedy, you brought it on yourself. Okay. And you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. Okay. And I'm sorry, but I don't feel sorry for you. Okay. But the intuitive messages that I do get is that, yes, I do get a lot of spirits who are very regretful, very mournful about it. And something about my hair, my hair is, this style right here is what you see. Now, I'm hoping that maybe in the future, I don't like lightening my hair, but I do know that this is my last journey on Earth, and I might be wanting to do something like that. I might want to try maybe some copper color in it, maybe in the next few months. Okay, whatever it is I want to do, I want to do with my hair. Okay, I resent people involving themselves in my personal life. You know what I mean, and making the big deal about it. I do not forgive the Bakersfield employers. The intuitive mess, something about the Bakersfield, when I talk about the Bakersfield employers, this has something to do with C.V. Braganza and the funeral industry, the cemetery. And a lot of the people who, I talked about the Mumas, okay? And I also had discussed my suspicion about the Laverne family in Laverne, California, possibly being associated with the human trafficking. I do believe that a lot of cemeteries are responsible for the cloning that goes on. They were active participants in these sort of mind control programs, okay, and a lot of them are very supportive of Nazi ideology. I do understand that, okay. Anyway, I'm disturbed by it. I'm obviously mortified by it, and I do everything I can to not have any sort of connection or memory to it. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing a lot of mental brain dumping in this particular newsletter, because I do not want to talk about this anymore in 2026. It has been a nightmare. I am not somebody who is happy about the association, about it at all. Like, none of it makes me happy. I mean, I'm so absolutely disgusted by all of it. Um, yeah, I'm very disgusted by all of it. Anyway, so yeah, I am somebody who enjoys my life the way that it is, meaning, like, I like my hobbies. I know that I was being bullied about my hobbies. And I do believe my sister, who knew good and well she wasn't my sister, but wanted to team up with the Ross family and do all these kinds of things to me in this community, I cannot believe participated in something that was just absolutely so vile. Can you understand why I feel the way that I do towards you? Okay, you need to understand. I look at you guys, and I cannot feel safe. I look at you as criminals, like in the most, uh, corrupt kind. Okay. Anyway, like I said, I did send off human targets. I will be sending it off again once I collect more names, and I also am putting it in the newsletter. Okay, I think it's unfortunate that this particular group, I believe it was 949, continually made efforts to thwart my plans. Okay, he has caused nothing but problems, and he had no right to. He had no right to. Okay, I don't know who this bum is, but it's like he wanted to orchestrate this sort of harassment campaign, okay? And the very fact that he actually got the kind of cooperation because of this religious thing, I don't respect this person at all. At all, okay? I do not respect you at all. Okay, I am talking about, the tactics that were used. I am sending it out for free. Okay, obviously I'm going to be here in Bakersfield probably for the rest of my life. Okay, it's not like I didn't make an attempt to leave. Okay, I felt as though, I should be in a place where I feel like I'm comfortable, instead of having to worry about people that I don't feel like I could trust, or people who are basically thieves. And this is what Karen Go did. Good old Karen Go. Sorry, I don't mean to do this to you, Karen, but you got to understand from my point of view what you did. You know what I mean? And you had no right to. And I'm supposed to sit here and be okay with it. You know what I mean? I want you to know how you affected my life. You affected my life, and then you sit there like it's, like you have all the time in the world. Yes, I'm pissed off about it. Um, yes, I understand that, I think people understand where I'm coming from, why I do not feel any sort of need to want to have a close association with people that come up to me. You know what I mean? Like I said, it has to be polite, and that's it. Okay. The intuitive message I'm getting is something about the musicians and about me inspiring creativity. I do get the intuitive message that I've created or inspired a lot of creative type things in the past when I was CV Berganza and in other past lives. Okay. And aside from that, because we've been clones throughout the years and stuff, we've crossed each other's paths, you know, in different lives. And I believe that this is what happened in this life. Um, that's it. I think that people are interested in the New World Order, which I think is cool. And that's it. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I was upset about, you know, this particular group banning my channel, my YouTube channel, and then the issue of my families coming together and doing what they were doing. You know, I'm disgusted with that. You know what I mean? When really I wanted to have my own YouTube channel to be able to talk to the kind of audience that I wanted to. This particular audience wanted to insist upon me having, you know, I don't know, changing my dialogue or whatever. And it's just, I hate this group. I hate it. I hate it. I'm always going to hate it. It is what it is. Okay. Oh, and the other message I'm getting right now is that this particular group understands that, yes, it is now regarded as a tragedy. Okay. My experience was undeserved from the get go. And they know it. Okay. So that means that these people thrashed my projects. Not only did they thrash it, they exploited the fact that they were, that they were thrashing it. And they sat there and, like, you know, rallied the troops, got all excited about it, stole from me, bragged about it, wanted to dehumanize me even further. And then we have people like Karen Go, who sits there in her little seat acting like she's respectful. I'm absolutely shocked. Meanwhile, I've done absolutely nothing to deserve this. Okay, so yes, I am very disgusted by these people. Okay, and then when I try to leave their community so that I can find a place where I can sit here and find some sort of semblance of normalcy, they sit there and refuse to participate in helping me. So, and then they want me to act like I'm going to have some sort of feelings for these people. I'm never going to feel anything for you except for disgust. And like I said, it's going to be is I'm going to be as polite as I possibly can be. You know what I mean? I'm always going to I always conduct myself beyond reproach, okay? Which I can never say for this people in this community. Like, I'm letting you know, Karen Go, I've gone to certain places where, you know, I've dealt with like the bus 45 or whatever, okay? I've never done anything to these people. Never. Okay? Yes, and I know, okay? And see, this is what I'm saying. Why it's a tragedy. Because we get pompous people like the so-called educated, and then we get people who are into their religion. They feel like really pumped up about it. Then they want to sit here and like jump on an innocent person, me. Okay, somebody who's all by themselves, somebody who's already struggling, and this did not elicit any sort of sympathy from these people. You know what these people did? They got even more fucking bloodthirsty. Okay, so this is what I see when I see you, Karen Go. I see you as an evil person. Okay, I see all these churchgoers as evil people. That's, you know, only and tell me I'm supposed to see something different. Okay, you knew good and well I didn't do anything to deserve this. If I was supposed to be a sinner, okay, if I did something that was against something that you would do, your doctrine, okay, technically by law, all you could do is say, okay, well, I choose not to do that myself. And if you felt as though I was in some sort of spiritual danger, then you could have sat here and said, you know what, I feel like you might be on the wrong road. I'm going to sit here and care about your spiritual life, you know, and have a one-on-one conversation. I'll tell you, the only thing that throwing that kind of stuff out in public sector does is create what you just created. Okay, Karen Go, clean up your mess. Clean up your community now. Okay, I'm tired of dealing and suffering for what you caused. Okay, I'm tired of dealing, and people expect me to sit here and be like, oh, she's into politics. Why should I be into politics when I have seen so many people who have absolutely no understanding of civics, history, money, economics, none of this sort of stuff, or even social sciences, okay? All you have to do is have a big name, perhaps maybe be raised in a certain family, and voila, you get a title. Okay, and why people like me sit here and exert the effort, and then they get bad reputations just because you want to put that on a person, just because you fucking feel like it. Okay, so I deal with corrupt people on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Okay, care and go, clean up your community. The message I'm getting right now is that there are people who are attracted to my viewpoints. Okay, and like I said, I am an army of one. If you support me, thank you. Okay, but like I said, I have never relied on anybody. I am a self-motivated, driven person. Why do I not ever rely on other people? Because I've never had anyone in my life who was a upright person. And being born in this particular program, okay, it was designed this way. It was designed by Nazi engineering that I was going to be born into the family that I was born into. This is the reason why my mother was not truly loyal to my father. This is one of the reasons why she's sitting here putting me in a genocide program alongside with these white Bakersfield employers. She was a part of it too. Okay? Why? Because she was brainwashed. Okay, and I understand these things. Okay, I understand social science. Okay, so I have all of these skills that all these people don't, and I'm sitting here. All I do is struggle. Okay, when I watch people advance themselves with my work, okay, I live among demonic people, and it's a fact. And so people are talking about my spirit garden, and people, spirits and stuff like that. You wish you could sit here and say that I was an evil person. You wish that you could sit here and try to put something on me. You cannot put anything on. I am 100% pure of spirit. 100%. Okay. So anyway, I think that's all I want to say today. I do know that a lot of this has a lot to do with me going on with CB Berganza. A lot of it has to do with my history in the cemetery. Okay, I haven't even come to understand, even before me coming to put the connection between me, CB Berganza, and the Mumma family and the whole Lancaster Lake. I knew, even looking back in the many years ago, there was a time back in the 1800s where there was just like this peak of grave robbing. Okay, and do I believe at that time people like the groups that Elon Musk was associated with and stuff like that? Do I believe that these groups are highly active? Creating different people with their grave robbing. We went from having home funerals, which were normal. Okay, home funerals used to be normal. Seriously, okay? Like if grandpa died, they would sit here and put him on ice, and they would have him out for a few days, and then they would dig a hole in the backyard, and then they would throw grandpa in there, and that would be the end of it, okay? But they wanted to pick up their speed when it came to cloning. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why they went away. They did away with all the all the what do you call it, home funerals and stuff like that, and then everything became institutionalized. You know what I mean? Take your family members to what do you call it? Cemeteries, not cemeteries. What do you call that? Mortuaries and stuff like that. Okay, and that's what people did. Okay, but now we know that people have been tampering with stuff. That's tampering. This is one of the reasons why certain religious people are like, "Oh my God, don't you dare clone me! I don't want you to doing that. It's wrong." Okay, so we have the Mormons who were part of this. Okay, they were sitting here recording all this genealogy type stuff, and they really, to me, they were active participants, because of intuitive messages I get about me and my my formulation as coming back as Maria Gordon in the 1960s. They were already discussing, along with the Mormons, they were going to bring me back in the form of a woman so that I could not be formidable in business. I kid you not. I got this as an intuitive reading. Okay, so yes, and I will be putting this into the newsletter. Okay, so yes, I was to them somebody that they always wanted to challenge, like for their own entertainment. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. I'm tired of their abuse. I'm exposing the Mormons' craziness. I'm exposing the multi-denominational church bullshit. Okay, and I'm telling you right now, I was associated with these mind control programs just like everybody else, okay, and it went too far. And then because of this reason, it helped me see people's heart conditions, okay? It's more than that. It's more than that. It's like saying, how sometimes you ask a question like, if you did this under this particular scenario, what kind of person would you do? It shows the kind of character you are, okay? And in this situation, it showed the kind of character people are, okay? So in my personal view, and for my own peace of mind, I choose to be polite. In the meantime, Karen, go, you better keep your city and your community the way that it needs to be. Okay? You as a leader, you need to understand that what you did was wrong. Okay, and I'm sitting here suffering for it every day. Yes, I do sit here and look for work. I will tell you right now, like I said, I do it because it's the right thing to do. Okay, I don't believe in dumping my responsibilities on other people. I was mortified that this particular community, as well as my selfish mom, okay, sat here and thought, oh, you know what? Well, Houston could take care of her. I find that completely offensive, okay? Because I don't believe in affecting the life of other people. Now, I'm very grateful that my son is taking care of me, and I really do enjoy him being here. But at the same time, I respect human life. I respect human life. I do not interfere or interrupt people's life journeys or disrespect their life journeys. Just like if I knew the next door neighbor was going to do something, right? I wouldn't sit here and try to like call, the agency that she's going to, try to block her, try to prevent her, try to harass her or anything like that. I understand she needs to take care of her business. I respect that. Okay. If I feel like I need to be competing against somebody who might have better skills than me, then I need to brush up on my resume or my skills. Okay, I don't sit here and initiate these sort of tactics to other people. I have morals. Okay, and yes, morals do matter when it comes to your spirituality. Okay, this is the reason why I rejected mainstream religion. This is the reason why I hated it. And I also knew that my sister Tanya and all the people in my family who sat here and allowed that to run their life, they all had severe mental problems. Okay? And like I said, just like the girl who was telling me, oh, Maria, I can't believe it. You always think that everything is wrong with everybody else, but nothing's wrong with you. In this situation, I'm going to tell you right now, everything was wrong with these people. Okay? MK Ultra mind control was sitting here infiltrating the minds of so many people, not just in this community but everywhere else, okay? Because it was a very heavy mind control program. Okay, where people believe in things, even white people who live in trailer parks who have absolutely no reason to be proud of themselves whatsoever. Okay, they like to fill themselves up with some sort of kind of arrogance and pride, right? Because even that is a form of MK Ultra. Just the very fact that they think that their shit don't stink. Okay, it's a part of the mind control. Okay, and like I said, I'm not somebody who talks one way or the other about racial issues. Okay, and that's something that they know that they can't say. See, why I choose to be the way that I am is because I take a spiritual stance on everything. Okay, I can never be blamed for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am blameless. Okay, and this is the reason why I choose to walk the spiritual path that I do, and I walk in righteousness. I'm going to end this video. Take care. Bye bye.